Hey, it's Bill, and you're tuned into Three Questions and a Song, the podcast where the title says it all, except it doesn't, because I never just ask three questions anymore. You can find this on buildascene.com and roodaroo.radio.com. This is episode number 90. With me tonight is Craig Allen Hect. Craig, did I say your last name correctly?
You sure did. You win the prize.
Well, listen, I with a last name like Damiano, I kind of panic because I'm used to mine being said wrong. So then I'll say somebody's name and I'm like, oh, did I get it right?
Well, I really hate like ordering a pizza because I always get like Hetched, Heckett. I just say just put it down as Craig. You'll figure it out.
Someone today was complaining on Facebook that that their first name was being misspelled, and I almost replied, you should try living with the last name Damiano. They can't spell it and they can't say it.
double whammy.
But anyway, so Craig,
yes, sir.
You and I first became aware of each other on XRP radio.
We did.
And you are currently in the freezing state of Minnesota. Sorry.
That's close.
Yeah, but Minneapolis isn't a state.
Well, I'm actually in St. Paul, which is the capital city, which is just a stone's throw from Minneapolis. They're kind of across the Mississippi from us, so but close enough.
So, being in Minnesota, who's your favorite hockey team?
Oh man, I'd have to go back to the North Stars because that was our team back in the day. Now we have the Wild and everything, and to be honest, I'm not a huge sports guy. I do watch the Vikings more because I like to watch them. They always seem to find some way to lose, which I find interesting. They can have the biggest lead in the world, and all of a sudden they come up with some way to self-destruct. I'm just amazed how they consistently seem to do it, although they're having a pretty good year this year. So,
and Pittsburgh, who's usually having a good year, not so good this year.
Yeah. No, I never was a sports guy. I was the nerdy, musician / anime / artist, that type of thing. That's what I was doing. So my buddies were watching sports. Me, not so much.
I kind of in school floated in between all of the different groups. I played football, but I was also a National Honor Society student. So, and then. So I was taking honors courses, but I hung out with the people that were going to vote tech, and so I was all over the place.
Yeah. No, about the only sport. Well, here, sport with quotation fingers. I probably watch regularly is wrestling. I'm a big wrestling guy. I started out with AWA, which was Vern Gagne, the Crusher, Road Warriors, Baron von Raschke. That's where I started watching that stuff, and I still catch the occasional WWE and AEW shows. It's great entertainment. It's good stuff.
I went to I was in high school. I went to WW. It would have been WWF at that time.
Yeah,
once. I've been to one.
Well, it's a whole lot different when you see it live. When you see it on TV, they've got the screen, they got the camera shots all blocked just right, so it looks real. When you go see it live, if you get the angle right, you see they throw a punch and it misses the guy's head by about a foot, but he goes flying back anyway, So, live kind of pulls the curtain back a little bit, All
right, so let's talk about your music a little bit.
Okay, we can do that.
So my understanding of you is basically that someone can tell you, hey, why don't you write this? And then you go and you write it.
That's pretty much about it. Well, if I try to give you the whole bio in a nutshell, we don't have that much time, but suffice to say I played in cover bands here in the metro area for like 35 years. And I played everything from country to metal, punk, jazz, funk, R&B, you name it, So I'm pretty well versed in a lot of styles because I needed to be, So, I can't even think of what happened. I think I was on XRP one day in the chat box or something, and somebody mentioned, could you cross heavy metal and a polka? Just in this conversation. I didn't think anything of it. And of course, stupid me, I'm like, oh yeah, we could probably figure out how to do that, So I worked on it for about, a week and a half, give or take. And all of a sudden the heavy metal polka popped up. and it worked out great. So yeah, I really enjoy taking different genres that shouldn't work together and smashing them together to see what happens. But in my heart, I was always a straight ahead rock guy. I started out as a metalhead. Actually, back in the day, I had Slayer, Venom, bought the first Metallica album, back in those days. And I kind of went through that into prog rock and jazz and all that other kind of stuff. So yeah, I've been playing everything. Anyway, long story short, yeah, pretty much if somebody throws me some kind of bizarre mashup, I can do it.
Recently on Friendly Fire,
yes,
you managed to let XRP beat us again.
Sorry about that, man.
That's okay. It was worth it.
Okay, cool.
Did you watch the video? Did you see John?
I did. Yes. I it's funny because Jana kind of invented screwdrivers to ears by her own fault, I suppose, accidentally, because we were doing a Friendly Fire and I was in the chat box and she played some industrial track she liked. And Kat came.
It was either Nine Stitch Method or Seethe. I can't remember. It's the same.
I think it was Seethe, maybe, but she played it, and then Kat had the reaction. That sounds like somebody is shoving screwdrivers in my ears, and I go, "What a cool band name!" So right there, I invented screwdrivers to ears. So the newest track from them is called "Hello, Jana," and it's horrific. It's like a bunch of screaming and like laughing hysterically and a bunch of weird synthesizer loops and drum machine stuff. And every time I play it, it scares the heck out of me. But I figured John would get a kick out of it, and she did. So mission accomplished.
We were certain that we had the right song, and then when they said it was you, I was like, oh no.
I get that reaction a lot, Bill. Oh no, not Craig.
Different.
Anything but that. Nope. Oh man. Yep.
So can you pinpoint the moment that you realized you wanted to be a musician?
Boy. Let's see here. Well, I started playing guitar at 5. I'm 65 now. People usually say when they saw the Beatles, and Ed Sullivan seems to be a big touchstone. I think for me, I wanted to be a musician when I saw Hendrix, when I was aware of him. Back in the early days on AM radio, they would spin like Hendrix and then the Beatles and then like Motown, and they mixed all that stuff together on AM radio, So I remember my mom and dad and I used to go for drives on Sundays, and I'd be in the back seat and dad would have the AM radio cranked up, and I'd hear like, Ticket to Ride or Purple Haze or Foxy Lady. And I think when I heard that stuff, I go, yeah, I want to do that, But I think the one song that really got me going was All Right Now by Free. It has to be your late 60s, early 70s, I'm going to say. But that song, the power of that song was so cool to me. And also Mississippi Queen by Mountain was a big one. Just that guitar tone, just the power there. I go, I want to be able to learn how to do that, So, yeah, that's pretty much about it, I'd say.
I'm giving you a homework assignment. Remind me to add Mississippi Queen to the Spotify playlist I made for my daughter.
It's the coolest song.
I'm like, how did I not put that one in there?
Well, the cool thing about that song, man, is that Leslie West, the guitar player, recorded that on an amplifier called a Stramp amp. It was a little dinky thing, about foot by foot, but the way they mic'd it up, it just sounded like a wall of Marshalls. It was like a buzzsaw coming at you. I mean, that tone was incredible, and I've been chasing that sound since then, So I'm getting close. Sometimes the guitar tones I got are pretty massive, but it's a lot of trial and error.
If you were sitting on a bench and your musical idol came down and sat down next to you and told you that you could ask them one question, first of all, who is it, and what one question would you ask?
Wow. Boy, that's tough to narrow it down to one, huh? There is a guy named Neil Morse who is involved in quite a few bands. He's essentially a Christian rock guy. He's involved like in Transatlantic, Flying Colors. He plays with Mike Portnoy from Dream Theater quite a bit. He's probably one of my huge idols, a big prog rock guy. And I probably would ask him, where do you get your inspiration from? And how do you keep getting more gas in your tank? You know, sometimes I think, musicians only have like a finite amount of gas in their tank creatively, and I think every now and then you feel like you run out, and, what's the secret to getting that tank refilled again, and getting you inspired again? A lot of times you write something and you feel like you're up against a wall. You feel like I've said everything I can say. I've played all the chords I know, everything I know how to do, I've done. How do you break that wall and move on to the next big thing for you or the next creative thing for you? That's probably the question I'd ask them.
How many songs have you recorded? I want to ask you how many you've written, because I'm sure there's a ton.
The short answer is on Reverb Nation, which is my primary music sharing platform. I'd say between me, the Craig Allen Hect, Reverb Nation, Sea Rage, what else is in there? The Weenies, all those different bands. I'm going to say probably about 150, 60 tops, I'd say, give or take. Like you say, I've got a lot of songs in the can I've never done anything with. I mean, I've been recording since 82. That's when I got my first little home studio. A little 4-track cassette deck and a cheap drum machine and one synthesizer and one microphone. And that's what I started out with, so I've been recording and writing stuff since then. So, yeah, I'd say about between 130, 150, I'd say. It's out there. Cool. Yeah. Sometimes I lose track, because I just keep going,
What is one song that you didn't write that you wish you would have written?
Wow. I wish I had like 10 minutes to think on that one, man. Boy. Let me see here. That's tough. Purple Rain. It's I mean, living where I live, of course, Prince is a huge influence, and of course he would be anyway, because the guy was amazing. But such a simple riff, but the way he builds layers onto it, and the emotion he gets from it. I'm really learning as a songwriter, you can just have the basic building blocks of what you're doing, but it's the layers you add to the basic stuff that really makes the song. Melody is huge. I wish I could write a better melody. A lot of times for me, I get a guitar riff or I get a lick and the melody is an afterthought. I'll get the mic and start singing something and it kind of just flies out. I wish I spent more time working on melody, and Prince was a master of that. Purple Rain, I mean, the backup harmonies and stuff, it's almost like it's almost choir-like, gospel-like, So yeah, I'd say that'd be the tune I'd pick. Yep.
Chris Grenade from the Pittsburgh area, he agrees with you.
Cool, yeah, I see that. Thanks, Chris. Yep.
So next question, completely. Yeah, it's gonna be a weird one for you, I bet.
Try me.
Okay, so the question is, what is the best pizza you've eaten because you're a musician? So either you were eating it while you were recording, or you were at a show, or you were on your way home from a show, on your way to a show. What's the best pizza you've eaten that you can link to being a musician?
Well, I gotta say, a lot of times, playing a late gig, we would pack up our gear and whatnot and head out to more like a Perkins or something, and never went to a pizza place. So that kind of disqualifies me there. For writing, I'm a Tombstone guy. I mean, I can throw it in the oven. It's like if I'm working on a track down here, right? And all of a sudden something comes into my head and it's like I'm starving, Run upstairs, grab a Tombstone, throw it in. Not that I'm endorsing them, but hey, for a quick pizza, it's not that bad. Yeah, but like I said, it was funny. We always ended up going like to burger places or getting like a late breakfast at 2:00 in the morning or something after a gig. That was pretty much my musician food, you know. So wish I had a better answer for you, but that's about what I got.
I haven't been to Perkins. I don't even know how long.
They're starting to close them around here. We've only got a few left.
I don't think there are any near us now. But
Oh wow.
In the South, there were a lot more.
Yep.
Than here.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if it's still like that, but
I don't know. I haven't been to a Perkins in years, you know. But yeah, that's back when I was gigging back in the good old days.
I'm gonna ask you another question, and then we're gonna talk about the song that you brought with you today.
Okay, cool.
All right, so you are leaving a recording session, so you're leaving Icebox Studios, and there's a DeLorean sitting outside with its door open and a flux capacitor in the back seat. What time are you going to go to, and what band are you going to check out while you're there?
I'm going to go with 1964. I'm going to check out the Beatles. And I want to see how they did what they did. I was a latecomer to them when I was in high school and stuff. You know, friends would bring up the Beatles, and I go, that's a bunch of old dinosaur, you know, crap, and I don't care about it. And, you know, years and years later, when I really started to listen what they were doing, you know, they really laid the foundation for a lot of the rock and roll we have going on right now. Especially, you figure, like Sgt. Pepper was recorded on an 8-track, you know, which is crazy. I mean, you know, we have home studios now, like with virtually unlimited tracks you can do, you know. So the fact that they added all that stuff on an 8-track machine was incredible, you know. And they were very much into like using sounds, you know, sound effects, you know, stuff to set a mood, you know, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I'd like to see 64 and see what the Beatles could really do live, you know, because I missed all that, you know. So yeah, that's my answer.
All right. So the song you brought with you today is called Sunshine Fury. And
it is.
Before we got on, I mentioned that it kind of gave me the Hendrix feel. And you said that was on purpose. So now you can tell me about that song.
Sunshine Fury is a cool tune. I had that title in my head for 2 years, and I had an opening riff that went to it. The very first thing you hear, I had that little lick in my head for the same amount of time. Sunshine Fury came about. It's one of those where I had a title, no song. And the story on that one is I used to drive my wife to work every morning because I worked evenings, she worked mornings. Well, days, I should say. And I'd drop her off, say like 7 o'clock downtown St. Paul here. And every morning when I had to drive back home on the freeway, I always drove into the sun. And it was horrible because I had just gotten up, you know, I had to give her a ride to work, you know, and I had the sun visor down and my shades on and everything else. And one morning I'm driving into this thing and I go, how come every morning I keep having to drive into the fury of the sun? And I went, oh, fury of the sun. That's cool. That's a song. So I went home and I took everything I do is on Post-it notes, right? So I jotted down Sunshine Fury, which also kind of reminded me of back then Pacific Rim had just come out. And I'm a big giant robot kaiju guy, right? And they had robots with names like Gypsy Danger, stuff like that. So I thought, Sunshine Fury, man, that's close, you know. So I had the whole sci-fi thing going. And then I figured it was kind of something Hendrix would have done. I like the title. I mean, Purple Haze, Sunshine Fury. Yeah, I could see that. So I had that lick, which is very Hendrixy in the first place. And so when I recorded it, I have a white Strat down here in the studio, just like Hendrix used to play. 3 single coil pickups on it. Gets that really Hendrixy sound. So when I recorded Sunshine Fury, I used that Stratocaster to record it, and I really got that Hendrix tone I was looking for. So that's the title, and that's where the sound came from.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a moment. We're going to listen to We're going to listen to Sunshine Fury.
Cool.
By Craig Allen Hect.
All right.
We'll be right back. For those of you that are watching live, we're not actually going to play that right now because the 8+ platforms that we are on will mute us, and we don't want that to happen.
Right.
So what you have to do is check buildscene.com in a few days, and the episode will be up, and you'll be able to hear it there. Or if you're watching the bottom of the video, his Facebook page is scrolling by, and I'm sure you can get to his Reverb Nation from his Facebook, right?
Correct. It should all be linked right there. Yep. Just go to Reverb Nation and search for Craig Allen Hect. I'm right there.
All right. So what we're gonna do now is pretend like we listen to the song. We're gonna come back in. I'm gonna ask Craig a couple more questions. And for those of you that haven't been paying attention to my social media today, at 9:00, I'm going live again with Matt Ferrani from every band in the area. Listen,
one of those guys.
So he's a drummer.
Yeah.
And we are debuting 4 songs, each one from a different band that he's in on the episode.
I could relate to that.
Yeah. So we're doing a Harlot Oscara band track.
Yeah.
We're doing an After the Fall track. We're doing a Silk 9 track, and we're doing a Borstal Boys track.
Wow, he's a busy guy.
And that's not even all his bands.
Man.
But
cool.
So if anybody wants to hang out after we're done with Craig, just watch. I'll be live again very shortly after Craig and I go off the air. And then you have to check out both episodes. Episode 90 of 3 Questions and a Song with Craig, and episode number 647, I think it is, with Matt of the Pennsylvania Rock Show. All
cool.
Right. Now that I'm done advertising for myself in the middle of your show.
That's fine.
All right. So that was Sunshine Fury by Craig Allen Hect, who's hanging out with me this evening on episode number 90 of 3 Questions and a Song. Quick funny story, Craig. I was on like episode 5 before my wife knew this podcast existed.
How did she find out?
I said something about it on the phone, and my son was sitting there, and I was like, "Oh, he's going to tell on me."
That's pretty good. Well,
So
hopefully she liked it. Oh man. Well, I hope she liked it.
It depends on the day.
Yeah, okay.
Keep in mind the Pennsylvania Rock Show is on episode 647, and the first 188 of them were live in my living room. Like,
jeez.
Bands came and played, and there were parties, and
oh man.
And then my kids started being born.
Oh, jeez. No, it's so funny. When I first met you and stuff, and first heard about Pennsylvania Rock Show, it was so funny because my main experience with Pennsylvania was my wife and I drove down to Virginia. We had some friends there we were going to go visit. And I got to drive through Pennsylvania on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. And I still, to this day, yeah, I know, right? But to this day, it was the most beautiful drive. I mean, the trees, I'd love to come through there in the fall when all that stuff is changing. I mean, I didn't see anything else in Pennsylvania except driving through it, but yeah, the view from the Turnpike was gorgeous, man. So
how many potholes did you hit, though?
I can't remember. That was a few years back. Who knows? Couple.
I'm sure
couple
more
few. I don't know. I got where I had to go in one piece, so it couldn't have been too bad.
All right, so I'm gonna ask you a couple more questions.
Sure.
Let's see. So an apocalyptic event happens and wipes out all but a handful of people on the face of the earth, and all but one song from every musician. What song that you've written should remain and help repopulate the earth?
Oh man. Okay, I can go something serious or something ridiculous, huh?
Whichever way you want to go.
Every way you want to go. Man. Okay, I gotta go serious. Song for the World. Because I wrote Song for the World to be uplifting and positive and to tell us all to keep on going and keep on continuing. And that was written.
Some of that.
We're gonna need some of that. That song was written the day after I went to my Third Bridge partner Scott. After I went to his memorial service, and the day after that, I was pretty well devastated, as was a lot of the people that were there. And I wanted to write something for us all that would give us some hope and give us a message to carry on. And it just came out really quick, and it came out really well. And I'm very proud of it. And that definitely would be the tune. So, yep.
Let's see if I can make you laugh again.
Go for it, man. I'm pretty easy.
Oh, I forgot to ask this on my last podcast, and it's
Yeah.
the official build a scene question, so I can't believe I forgot. It's who is your Dave Grohl? In other words, what musician do you want to go up on stage with and perform one of their originals?
I want to go on stage with Ty Tabor from a band named King's X. And they are one of those bands where they are huge in the music community. A lot of musicians, you say King's X, they know exactly who you're talking about. But commercial success kind of eluded them. And real musicians band. And Ty Tabor is probably one of my heroes when it comes to guitar playing. The guy is just incredible. And to go up and do a gig, do a song with him, that'd be past amazing, man. So there you go.
So I once met Gene Simmons.
I should say I'm sorry, but I'm sorry.
My
experience, did you talk about Gene Simmons?
He did not, which is why I brought it up, because that's what everyone would expect.
Right.
I had a Sony Mavica CD1000 camera, which the little mini CDs.
Right.
And I know he had been up there for hours. It was a book signing. And I got to him and he looked at the camera and he goes, "How the hell does that thing work?" And we had like a 10-minute conversation about my camera.
Gene Simmons baffled by technology.
So my question is, have you ever met a musician and what have you had a conversation that somebody wouldn't expect with them?
Well, I was just talking about Ty Tabor. I met him when King's X performed in a little divey bar here on the east side of St. Paul. They had their first album just came out called Out of the Silent Planet. And they just played in this little grungy bar and they were starting out. And, they took a break and we actually went out in the crowd to visit with people. And they got to talk to him. And it wasn't any kind of sideways questions, though. It was pretty much tech stuff. I was like, how do you get that tone out of your amps? And he would get all these amazing different sounds, like a really cool chorusy effect and a really cool echoey type thing. And I go, is that all different amplifiers? And he goes, no, man, it's all the same amp, just different pedals and whatnot. But super cool guy, super approachable. I also met John Petrucci from Dream Theater when we saw them. And I had a VIP pass, and got to meet him. And this guy was one of my big influences as well when it comes to the metal/prog style. And I walked up to Petrucci's. He's signing autographs at this table, right? And I walk up to him. He goes, "How you doing?" And I go something like, and he goes, "I get that a lot." Because, what do you say to a guy that's like influenced everything you're doing? I mean, thank you comes to mind, I suppose, But that's my really brushes with famous musicians I can think of off the top of my head. So there you go.
Working at Kennywood, I met a lot of famous people, but generally I was in Kittyland and they were dealing with their kids, so I just gave them, "Hey, how are you?"
Have a nice day.
Except Yuri Slager, who was a Pittsburgh Penguin. He kept coming back and talking to me, which was really cool.
That is really cool.
He was searching me out and talking while his kid was on rides.
That's nice, man.
But Rod Woodson from the Steelers.
Yep.
I met him. He was not in a good mood when I met him, though. He was storming out of Kittyland.
Well, no, I did meet the Road Warriors, Animal and Hawk.
Nice.
I mean, back when they were first. Matter of fact, you can kind of see behind me over here in the light. That's my autographed Animal and Hawk poster when they first started selling Zubas. And they were like the spokespeople for the Zubas pants. And that's an autographed poster. I got them to both of them. And I met them in the signing. And then one time we met them at the Minnesota State Fair. They were there with their wives and kids. And super cool guys. Animal, man, he's like this gigantic guy. I mean, I'm a pretty large size dude myself, but I shook this guy's hand and, his hand was like the size of a canned ham. It's gigantic, grip, nice to meet you, that kind of thing. And, but they were super cool, but that was back in the 80s. I think I met those guys, but pretty neat.
I met so many people. I met Lynn Swan.
Did you?
Yeah. In Kittyland.
Wow.
And it's a funny story. So he was doing, I think it was not an All-State, I can't think of it. It was one of those charities, and he used to do commercial for it. United Way.
Right.
He's doing a United Way
okay.
commercial, and he
Sure.
had just adopted a baby, and the baby was in the commercial with him. And
Yep.
I was running a little merry-go-round in Kittyland, and he handed me the baby, and I recognized the baby first.
Love
And
it.
I looked up and I went, "You're," and he goes, "Yeah, I am."
He goes, I get that a lot. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
man.
I recognized the baby.
Yeah, that's funny. The baby first.
But,
oh man, that's great.
So,
yeah.
2 easy questions for you, and then I'm going to let you go.
Okay, cool.
All right. So, where besides Facebook.com/Craig Allen Hecht and Reverb Nation can people find you? And I already put one of them in the chat, but
I know you did. Yeah, I'm not spread out really thick. For me, my primary spot is Reverb Nation. That's where I share all my music. Everything that I do is up for streaming for free or a free download. I just like sharing it with people. So I don't have a Bandcamp site or anything like that. Reverb Nation, and then that Facebook page you put up is my primary means of social media. I did put an album out on CD Baby. I'm going to say 3 years ago. I'm probably wrong on that, but it was called "Surviving the New Normal." And that's everywhere out there. It's on, iTunes and Amazon and YouTube Music and Spotify and all that stuff.
Under your name or under a band name?
It's under Craig Allen Hecht. Yeah, it's called "Surviving the New Normal," and that was, like I say, put out a few years ago now. I think about doing another CD, but the problem is, all my music right now is studio only. I don't play live. I don't have a band. Everything is all one guy. So I really don't have anywhere to sell merch. So if I got like another 100 CDs, pressed up, it'd be hard for me to sell them. I'd like to. It's cool to have an actual physical, piece of music. But I guess now I'm just happy streaming everything. But yeah, pretty much like I said, that Facebook thing there, and then the Reverb Nation stuff is my primary social links.
All right. Next question.
Yep.
Besides writing a Hello Bill song, what's coming up next?
I'm writing a Hello Bill song?
It just popped in my head when I went to ask the question.
It doesn't have to be industrial, does it? I mean, I just got through.
No.
When I recorded Jazz, I had to record an electric toothbrush for the solo. I took an electric toothbrush and I sampled it. Then I played the keys to it. Came out pretty cool. You don't hear a lot of songs with toothbrush solos. What's coming next, huh? Well, I've been talking for the last 3 or 4 months, give or take now, about Cluckzilla, which is my virtual monster movie. Cluckzilla is a 400-foot tall radioactive mutant chicken, which I'm writing this big rock opera, and it's going to be probably coming out in multi-parts because if any of you are familiar with what I do, the last rock opera I wrote was a thing called Megaton Hammer, which ran 22 minutes and 13 seconds, one gigantic piece of music. It was about a giant robot, kind of based on, probably Voltron, that type of thing, who defends us from an alien invasion. And it was fun to write that, so I figured I want to do something a little bit bigger, but that was 22 minutes, so I might break this up into more bite-sized pieces so people can digest it a bit. But it's going to be
it's like Iron Butterfly-esque.
Pretty much. The short story is the government builds a secret base where they take farm animals, I love it, animals, and they enlarge them, thinking that if we can feed more people with a really big chicken, cool, or make a cow get really big for more milk, So of course they enlarge this chicken, and something goes terribly wrong when they do the process, and he gets irradiated and mutates and goes bonkers and destroys cities and stuff. So it'll be a whole disaster film. So I'm writing right now. I've already got
maybe that's the apocalyptic event I asked you about.
It would be, unless you really like chicken, But in the original idea, I figured I was going to have them at the end of it. They're going to capture him and get like this really big box, like make a big extra crispy meal out of him, or make. Or all these, they get a really big bucket, 400-foot tall bucket, and no, it's going to end differently, I think. But I'm still in the process of kind of writing the screenplay, because I've got to write the storyline first, and then go from there. Actually, it's going to feature all of the Icebox Studios artists together as one big collaboration. So there'll be tracks from Brainhammer, Tex and Betty, Sea Rage and the Icebox Studios All-Stars, Craig Allen Hecht, the Weenies, maybe a Screwdrivers for Ears track, I think, too, will be featured on this for the battle scene. So it's going to be a huge undertaking, but I'm just started in the initial phases right now. But yeah, that's what's coming next down the pike.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you for hanging out with me on episode 90.
Thank you. My pleasure.
I can't believe I'm on 90.
Yeah. Wow. Huh?
Well, this one is bi-monthly, whereas the PA Rock Show is every week. So 90 is more like 180.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, cool. Well, yeah. Well, you're a teacher. You got the math part.
Just multiply times 2. It would be 180 if I was following the same schedule. Just so everyone.
Well, I got a calculator here on my phone. I can figure it out. Yep.
But anyway,
man.
Those of you that are tuned in and listening, if you're listening on Build a Scene or on Rootaroo Radio, make sure you stay tuned in because you're going to hear some more unsigned music, and you may find your next favorite musician on top of Craig, because once you listen to all the different things Craig's plays, you're not going to keep following him.
Well, I figure it this way. I'm doing so many different styles. I'm bound to do something you like. Just throw stuff to the wall and see what sticks, So
what's going to happen now is Craig and I are going to go off the air, and then in about 15 minutes or so, I'll be coming back online with Matt from a bazillion bands. You laugh.
No, because I get it. I'm in 8 different bands right now. So hey, well, actually.
And so I'll be back shortly. For those of you watching live, it'll pop up on the same platforms that I'm on right now with Craig. And this episode will appear on buildascene.com hopefully within the next 2 to 3 days. Technically, it's supposed to be up tomorrow, but I'm not getting it edited tonight because I talked to Matt. So,
good things come to those who wait.
That's right. All right. So, with that said, Craig and I are out of here. Make sure you check out Build a Scene all the time. But if you want to check out more 3 Questions in a Song, that happens on the 1st and 15th of the month. And I mentioned the Pennsylvania Rock Show, which is every Friday for releases. And then we have Friendly Fire, which is on xrpradio.co.uk. It's a live show. I have no idea when we're doing it next. Usually it's on a Saturday. The last time we did it was on a Sunday. Usually it's every month. There was a 2-month break in between the last. You have to watch for that one.
Right.
But I will say that on the last episode, Jonna said that she would eat death nuts if somebody bought them. And
that's right. Yeah.
And Jessica Zork from the band God Hates Unicorns had them delivered to her house yesterday.
I love it.
So on the next Friendly Fire, Jonna is going to be eating death nuts. So
cool.
Make sure you watch that one.
Yes, definitely.
She also let everyone at First Angel Media know that if she died, I'm in charge.
Well, somebody's got to be.
That's right.
Right on.
All right. With that said, I will see you in a few minutes. Craig, thanks for hanging out with me.
Thank you, Bill.